In life, every relationship we form, whether with people, nature, or even ourselves, acts like a mirror. This mirror reflects not who we think we are, but what we put into it. What you give, emotionally, mentally, energetically, always finds its way back to you. This is the law of karma. It does not judge, it does not rush, but it always responds. Shi Heng Yi reminds us that the energy we radiate in our relationships is like a seed planted in fertile soil. If you sow love, understanding, patience, and compassion, the harvest will echo with the same qualities. If you give criticism, resentment, selfishness, or neglect, you will eventually face the storm of what you've sown. Every word you speak, every action you take, and even every silent thought you carry, it contributes to the invisible web that ties all relationships together. Karma is not punishment, it's balance. It's nature's way of returning to us what we offer. This speech is a reminder to become more conscious of what you feed into the relationships around you. Are you planting seeds of harmony or seeds of conflict? Are you uplifting or draining others? Your intentions, even more than your actions, shape your karmic path. True transformation begins when we stop blaming others for how we are treated and start taking full responsibility for what we project. You want more respect? Give it. You want love? Radiate it. You seek peace? Be the source of it. The universe is always listening, responding not to what you want, but to what you give. Karma is not just a mystical or spiritual concept. It's a fundamental principle of energy exchange that governs how our actions, words, and even thoughts ripple out into the world and inevitably come back to us. Think of it as a universal echo. When you speak kindly, when you offer compassion, when you act with integrity, even when no one is watching, you are sending out frequencies into the fabric of life. And just like a sound echoing through a canyon, those frequencies will come back, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly, but always unmistakably. Shi Heng Yi emphasizes that our lives are a constant dance of cause and effect. We are not separate from the outcomes we experience. We are deeply, intimately tied to them through the seeds we've sown in the past. If you feel surrounded by negativity or are constantly caught in cycles of conflict, it's important to look at what kind of energy you've been putting out into your relationships, consciously or unconsciously. Most people believe karma is limited to big life decisions, but it functions continuously, even in the smallest gestures. A smile given to a stranger, a harsh word spoken in frustration, a helping hand offered without expectation. These all carry energetic weight. They create ripples in your environment. Over time, these ripples shape the people you attract, the way others respond to you, and even the way you feel within yourself. Your energy becomes your message to the world, even when you say nothing. This is why it's so vital to live with awareness. When you react with anger, you spread unrest. When you respond with patience, you plant peace. What you radiate outwards returns, not always instantly, but always with precision. The universe doesn't forget what you offer. It stores and reflects it. Karma, in this way, becomes the invisible architect of your relational experiences. Shi Heng Yi urges us to stop seeing life as random and start seeing it as relational. Everything is connected. Every energetic transaction you have with another human being, whether they are a loved one, a stranger, or even someone who has hurt you, is a karmic imprint that will echo through your future. And these echoes don't return in the exact form. They return in lessons, in people, in opportunities, or in challenges that mirror your vibration. So, when you wonder why certain patterns keep repeating in your relationships, you must begin with your own energy. What are you broadcasting? What are you offering into the space of that relationship? The law of karma teaches us that life does not respond to what you think you deserve. It responds to what you consistently give. Every relationship we have, whether it's with a parent, partner, friend, colleague, or even a stranger, is a reflection of the energy we contribute to it. Shi Heng Yi teaches us that relationships do not exist in isolation from us. They are created and sustained by the dynamic flow of energy that we put into them. They mirror back our emotional investments, our communication styles, our unresolved traumas, and our silent expectations. This principle requires us to rethink how we perceive conflict and connection. Often, when people feel unheard, unloved, or disrespected in a relationship, they instinctively blame the other person. They believe they are being treated unfairly or that the other person has failed them. But this mindset ignores the truth that relationships are never one-sided. What you experience is often a reflection, not of who the other person is, but of what you have contributed energetically or emotionally to that connection. For example, if you consistently withhold your emotions out of fear of vulnerability over time, the relationship will mirror that coldness back to you through emotional distance from the other person. If you habitually complain or criticize, even under the guise of honesty, that negativity will come back to you, often in the form of resentment, arguments, or growing silence. On the other hand, if you regularly show appreciation, listen deeply, and offer support without keeping score, the people around you will begin to mirror that kindness and generosity. Shi Heng Yi urges us to recognize that we cannot keep asking for what we are not willing to give. You cannot demand honesty while offering half-truths. You cannot crave deep emotional connection while staying guarded and withdrawn. You cannot expect loyalty while entertaining disloyal thoughts or actions. Relationships are not vending machines where you insert expectations and receive ideal behavior. They are dynamic ecosystems that thrive on mutual input and accountability. Moreover, the way people treat you often reflects how you allow yourself to be treated. If you tolerate disrespect over time, that disrespect becomes normalized in the relationship. If you overextend yourself and never set boundaries, eventually, others will unconsciously assume that your needs are less important. The mirror doesn't lie, it only shows what is. That's why self-respect, self-awareness, and self-love are foundational to any healthy relationship. Because what you allow within yourself becomes what you allow from others. It is also important to acknowledge that not all reflections are easy to face. Sometimes, the people closest to us bring out our hidden insecurities, our fears of abandonment, or our deep desire to control. Instead of rejecting the relationship for triggering us, we must examine what that trigger is teaching us about our own inner world. Every person we meet is a mirror, not just of how we treat them, but of how we treat ourselves. Shi Heng Yi encourages deep internal reflection. If a relationship feels imbalanced, distant, or unfulfilling, look first at what you've been giving it. Have you been present? Have you been generous with your time, your listening, your effort? Or have you been emotionally absent, distracted, or reactive? The relationship, like a mirror, will only show you the truth, not the truth about others, but the truth about yourself. In the realm of karma, intention is the invisible blueprint behind every outcome. It is not merely what you do that determines your karmic result, but why you do it. Shi Heng Yi teaches that the universe does not just watch your actions, it listens to your motives. And while actions may deceive others, intentions never deceive energy. They are the purest expression of your inner world, and they dictate what life sends back to you. This is where many people go wrong in their understanding of karma. They think good deeds are enough. They believe that by doing something nice, they should receive something good in return. But karma is not transactional. It is not a reward system for behaviors alone. It is a reflection of your inner energy, the emotional and mental state from which your actions arise. Two people can perform the same act, say, offering help to a friend, but if one does it with genuine compassion and the other out of guilt or the desire to look good, the karmic results will be entirely different. This principle forces us to examine ourselves at a much deeper level. It's not about impressing others with kindness, generosity, or loyalty. It's about being those things authentically, from a place of purity. If you give love just to receive it back, it's a manipulation dressed as affection. If you apologize to end a conflict but carry resentment in your heart, the energy of that apology is tainted. Karma does not respond to appearances, it responds to truth. Shi Heng Yi reminds us that every intention is a seed. If you plant seeds of sincerity, patience, and humility, they will grow into relationships filled with trust and depth. But if your seeds are rooted in pride, control, fear, or obligation, then even the most beautiful looking gestures will eventually wilt because they were never nourished by truth. Your intentions are your silent signature on the world, and even when others cannot read them, the universe can. This is why self-awareness is essential. It is not enough to perform outwardly good actions if they are masking inner conflict or ego-driven desires. Before you speak, give, or act, pause and ask yourself, what is the real motive behind this? Am I doing this to uplift, to heal, to serve? Or am I doing it for validation, attention, or to avoid guilt? These moments of reflection can change your karmic path entirely. They bring clarity to your energy, and clarity attracts alignment. In relationships, this truth is even more profound. Your partner, your friends, your family, they can feel your intentions, even when they can't articulate them. A gift given out of obligation doesn't feel the same as one given out of love. An apology given to shut down a conversation does not carry the same healing power as one born from true remorse. And over time, the people in your life may not remember what you did, but they will never forget how it felt to be on the receiving end of your energy. Shi Heng Yi teaches that when your intentions align with love, respect, and sincerity, even your smallest actions carry great karmic weight. But when your intentions are polluted by ego, even grand gestures fall flat in the eyes of the universe. You cannot fake energy, and you cannot cheat karma. One of the most common sources of pain and disappointment in human relationships is the silent expectation that others should treat us better than we treat them. We long for loyalty, honesty, deep understanding, constant effort, but often forget to mirror those very qualities ourselves. Shi Heng Yi teaches that imbalance arises not because life is unfair, but because our expectations often far exceed our contributions. There is a fundamental truth many people resist. You cannot demand from others what you are not first willing to offer. If you crave consistent communication, ask yourself, am I consistent with my own responses, or do I vanish when it's inconvenient? If you want your partner to be emotionally open, reflect, have I created a space of safety where vulnerability feels welcome? If you expect others to listen deeply, inquire, do I truly listen, or do I just wait for my turn to speak? Expectations become toxic when they are detached from self-responsibility. They create entitlement rather than empowerment. You begin to feel that people owe you something simply because you want it, not because you've earned it through presence, effort, and authentic care. And when these expectations go unmet, resentment grows, not because the other person failed you, but because you placed an invisible weight on them without first examining your own contribution. Shi Heng Yi challenges us to turn the mirror inward. Are your relationships strained not because others don't give enough, but because you give too little in the areas that truly matter? Maybe you give gifts but not time. Maybe you give attention but not honesty. Maybe you show up physically but not emotionally. When you stop expecting more than you give, you shift from entitlement to accountability, and that's where transformation begins. This principle is not about self-sacrifice or giving more than you can. It's about alignment. It's about making sure your expectations are matched by your behavior. If you expect respect, are you offering respect, even when you disagree? If you want forgiveness, are you quick to forgive others, or do you hold grudges? Life responds not to what you hope for, but to what you embody. The more you align your energy with your desires, the more naturally those desires begin to manifest in your relationships. Another aspect Shi Heng Yi highlights is the danger of conditional giving. Often people do give, but with strings attached. They offer love but expect constant affirmation in return. They help others but expect gratitude or praise. This type of giving is not rooted in generosity, it's rooted in control. When those returns don't come, they feel betrayed. But the truth is, if your giving comes from a place of true abundance, it doesn't need to be rewarded. It is already whole in itself. The law of karma teaches that life is a mirror, not a vending machine. You don't insert kindness and automatically receive love. You become kindness, and over time, your world begins to reflect that frequency, but only if your offering is real, sincere, and consistent. You cannot expect unconditional love while practicing conditional support. You cannot demand loyalty while offering only convenience. The universe is far too intelligent to be tricked by appearances. This key point urges a shift from passive wishing to active becoming. Instead of sitting in the pain of unmet needs, rise into the power of fulfilling those needs within yourself and offering them to others. When you raise the standard of what you give, you raise the standard of what you receive. That is how the karmic balance restores itself, not through hope, but through integrity. One of the most misunderstood aspects of karma is the belief that it functions as a divine punishment system, a cosmic force that strikes us down for our wrongdoings. But Shi Heng Yi challenges this view and redefines karma not as punishment, but as feedback. It is not the universe seeking revenge, it is the universe reflecting truth. Karma is not cruel, it is intelligent. It is not emotional, it is precise. It does not punish to hurt, it responds to teach. Every experience you face in life, especially the difficult ones, is not random. It's a message, a signal, a mirror held up to your inner world. When something painful keeps repeating in your relationships or your personal life, it's not to break you, it's to awaken you. It's feedback that says, look here, pay attention, there is something you're not seeing, there is something you need to change. This shift in perspective, from karma as punishment to karma as education, can entirely transform how you respond to adversity. Shi Heng Yi teaches that karma, in its purest form, is the law of spiritual cause and effect. If you plant seeds of love, you grow love. If you plant seeds of control, deception, or fear, then those same qualities will grow in the soil of your life, eventually rising into events, people, and patterns that confront you until you choose to evolve. Karma is not chaos. It is the most organized and impartial teacher you will ever have. It doesn't rush, it doesn't forget, and it never skips a step. It gives you exactly what is needed for your growth, even when it's uncomfortable. This karmic feedback may come through heartbreak, betrayal, loss, or failure, and when it does, the ego is quick to cry out, "Why me?" But the wiser question is, what is this here to teach me? Instead of resisting the pain, you begin to listen to it. Instead of blaming others, you start to examine your patterns, your choices, your mindset. The moment you shift from victimhood to ownership, karma becomes a powerful ally. It transforms from a judge into a guide. Another critical aspect Shi Heng Yi highlights is how karma works in layers. You may perform a negative action today, but not feel its return for months, even years. Similarly, you may be living in pain today, not because of what you did yesterday, but because of the energy you carried years ago, unconsciously, habitually. That's why karmic feedback often feels delayed, but make no mistake, it is always accurate. The seeds you plant do not disappear just because you've forgotten them. They grow in silence, and they bloom when the season arrives. This delayed feedback is not a flaw in the system. It's a gift. It gives you time to reflect, to learn, to correct your path. If karma were instant, there would be no space for growth, only reaction, but the universe is patient. It waits for you to become aware, to choose differently, and the moment you shift your energy, even before the external results show up, the karmic cycle begins to change. Because karma doesn't require perfection, it requires presence, intention, and responsibility. Karma also speaks in repetition. If you find yourself in the same toxic relationship dynamics, the same arguments, the same disappointments, it's not coincidence. It's feedback. Something within you is calling out to be healed, to be understood, to be shifted. And until that lesson is fully absorbed, life will keep delivering the same message in different forms. Not to punish you, but to free you from unconscious loops. Shi Heng Yi encourages us to see karma not as fate, but as a living system of learning. It's the life curriculum designed specifically for your soul's growth. The more you resist it, the harder the lessons become. But the moment you accept the feedback and begin to align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with truth, compassion, and awareness, karma responds. It doesn't hold grudges, it adjusts, it evolves with you. At the core of spiritual and energetic law lies a profound truth. You do not attract into your life what you desire. You attract what you are. Shi Heng Yi emphasizes that the energy you carry within you, whether consciously or unconsciously, sets the vibrational tone of your relationships, your experiences, and even your future. The universe does not respond to the words you say or the goals you write down. It responds to the frequency of your being. Many people chase after love, peace, trust, or happiness, believing that once they get these things from outside sources, they will finally feel whole. But life doesn't work this way. The law of karma and the law of energy makes it clear. The outer world is a reflection of your inner state. If your internal world is chaotic, anxious, or full of hidden wounds, you will continue to attract situations and people that reflect those same energies. Not because you're cursed, but because your internal vibration is acting like a signal, drawing in what matches it. Shi Heng Yi teaches that wanting something, whether it's a peaceful relationship, emotional security, or deep love, is not enough. Wanting and becoming are not the same. The universe doesn't respond to desperation or longing. It responds to alignment. If you want loyalty, are you loyal in your actions and thoughts? If you desire respect, do you respect yourself and others, even when it's difficult? If you wish for peace, is your mind calm, or are you constantly at war with your thoughts? This key point is a direct invitation to stop outsourcing your fulfillment and to begin cultivating it from within. Instead of asking, why can't I find peace in my relationships, ask, am I at peace with myself? Instead of wondering why you keep attracting dishonest people, reflect, where in my life am I not being honest with myself or others? Karma is not cruel, it's accurate. It draws mirrors into your life, not rewards. You meet who you are, not who you pretend to be or who you hope to be. There is also an important message here about subconscious energy. You may consciously want love and connection, but if deep down you carry fear of abandonment, unresolved childhood wounds, or a belief that you are unworthy, that energy speaks louder than your words. Energy is not masked by smiles or achievements. It is raw, it is felt, and it silently dictates what enters your life and what gets repelled. Shi Heng Yi often speaks of inner discipline, not just of the body, but of the mind and heart. Because if your inner world is clean, grounded, and filled with authentic intention, you will naturally start attracting situations that reflect that integrity. You won't need to chase. You won't need to manipulate or beg for love, attention, or peace. Those things will find you because your vibration has become a home for them. This principle also dismantles the myth of bad luck in relationships or repeated misfortunes. Life is not randomly dealing you the wrong people or wrong experiences. It is reflecting your internal condition, and this is not said to place blame, it's said to hand back power, because if you're creating your reality through your energy, that means you can change it. You can clean your vibration, raise your frequency, and watch how everything around you begins to shift. People are often told you deserve better, but Shi Heng Yi asks the harder question, have you become better? Not better in the sense of perfection or achievement, but better in the sense of alignment, more self-aware, more authentic, more loving, more present. Because when you become better, you naturally align with better. It's not about wishing, it's about becoming. You magnetize your desires by embodying them first. And the beauty of this law is that once you understand it, you no longer feel powerless. You stop waiting for someone else to validate you, love you, or save you. You become the source, and from that powerful place, everything begins to change, not because you forced it, but because your energy no longer matches the old patterns. Your outer world, especially your relationships, is not separate from your inner world. It is a direct extension of it. Shi Heng Yi teaches that the quality, tone, and patterns within your relationships are mirrors that reveal the truth about your own emotional, mental, and spiritual condition. The people in your life don't just randomly behave a certain way around you. They respond to the energy you emit, consciously or unconsciously. Every interaction is a reflection, and every reflection is a message. This is not to say that you are to blame for others' actions, but it does mean that your internal state plays a powerful role in shaping how you interpret, respond to, and attract experiences. For example, someone with unresolved trauma or deep emotional wounds may subconsciously expect abandonment or betrayal. As a result, they become hypersensitive to rejection, constantly seeking validation or unconsciously pushing others away, thus creating the very outcome they fear. The cycle continues until awareness breaks it. Shi Heng Yi emphasizes the necessity of self-inquiry. If you constantly find yourself in emotionally draining, disrespectful, or chaotic relationships, it's not enough to label others as toxic. The real growth begins when you ask, what part of me feels safe in this chaos? What wound is being activated? What belief am I holding that allows this pattern to repeat? Until you heal the internal, the external will keep echoing its relationship after relationship, situation after situation. This principle is deeply empowering, though it may feel uncomfortable at first. It asks you to stop viewing yourself as a passive recipient of relationship dynamics and start seeing yourself as an active participant whose inner condition influences the entire connection. If your relationships are cold, ask yourself if you've become emotionally guarded. If they feel distant, explore whether you've distanced yourself from your own truth. If they are filled with misunderstanding, investigate whether you've been honest with your needs and boundaries. When your inner state is filled with peace, clarity, self-love, and alignment, the relationships around you begin to reflect those qualities. You begin to attract people who match your integrity, your calm, your authenticity. You stop tolerating emotional games because your inner world no longer resonates with chaos. You stop needing to chase love or attention because you have already cultivated it within yourself. Shi Heng Yi often speaks about inner harmony being the foundation of external harmony. You cannot expect others to bring you what you have not first brought to yourself. If you crave understanding, have you understood yourself? If you seek deep emotional connection, have you taken the time to connect with your own heart without distraction? Relationships do not elevate you beyond your self-awareness. They meet you where you are. Another key truth is that relationships will challenge the parts of you that are not yet healed. They bring to the surface the very aspects of yourself that need attention. That's why certain people trigger you. That's why certain situations feel disproportionately painful. They are not happening to you. They are revealing you to yourself. If you are open to that reflection, relationships become a path of self-discovery, not just companionship. And this reflection isn't limited to romantic or family relationships. It extends to friendships, workplace dynamics, even how strangers treat you. Every interaction holds a clue. Every emotional reaction is a compass pointing inward. When you get angry, jealous, impatient, or anxious, those emotions are not just about the other person. They are signals from your inner world saying, "Look here, there's something unresolved, there's something unexpressed, there's something out of alignment." Shi Heng Yi teaches that your most powerful work is inner work, because when you change your relationship with yourself, when you begin to speak to yourself with love, treat yourself with respect, and confront your own fears with compassion, you naturally raise the standard for every relationship around you. Not by force, but by vibration. You don't need to convince others to treat you better. When you evolve, those who cannot meet you will fall away, and those aligned with your new energy will find you. So, if life feels unbalanced, if your relationships feel hollow, repetitive, or filled with tension, pause, not to blame, but to reflect, because the truth is, what you are experiencing is not random. It's a reflection, a message, a lesson. The law of karma is always at work, not to punish you, but to reveal you. It is returning exactly what you have been giving through your words, your actions, your silence, and your energy. So if you want more love, become love. If you want peace, radiate peace. If you want truth, live in truth. The world doesn't change when others treat you differently. It changes when you choose to show up differently, because every relationship, every connection, every experience is just karma in motion, echoing the energy of your soul. Change the energy you give, and you will change the life you live.